So the thought for today is this: I'm 100% responsible for everything. I'm 100% responsible for everything. Now, disclaimer. This is one of those like cigarette disclaimer packages. This might cause something. This might cause a trigger for some of you. Why? Because if you hear the word, and even though I've said responsibility like a million times in our morning calls, or some of you are new to morning calls, good morning, good morning. You've been in my world before, you've heard me say the word. But if you hear the word responsibility as blame, like, oh, now I'm to blame for something, then you're actually missing the actual etiology of the word responsibility. So let's talk about the etiology of the word responsibility. So the etiology means like where the word comes from. Responsibility is your ability to respond. Your ability to respond. When? Now, in this moment. Where does all creation happen? Now, in this moment. The past and the future. The past is a memory, and the future is using your imagination. When we project doubt, worry, and fear into our future, we're using our imagination in the wrong way. I'm going to say that one again. When we project doubt, fear, and worry onto the future, we are using the imagination in the wrong way. We have this higher faculty of the intellect called your imagination. And we have the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, which says that we are always transforming energy. We are transformation machines. All we ever do in this lifetime is transform. Eat an apple and you transform the apple. Drink water, you transform the water. You are a transformation machine in this moment, not in the past and not in the future. You've also heard me say everything you want is already here right now in this moment. The minute you go, where is it? Where did your attention go? Away from the moment. Let me say that again. I tell you everything you want is already here in this moment, and you go, where? So you literally get out of the moment and you start to scan somewhere else in your mind. Does that make sense? Did that kind of land a little bit differently today? See how it's kind of like one of those, what are they called again? Not Rourke blot. That's a psychology thing. But you know those paintings that you would see, and like once you saw the elephant, you could not see the elephant? That's awareness. The elephant was always there. You just couldn't see it. I say it's already here now in this moment. And you're like, where is it? You just left the moment. Most people spend their entire life out of the moment. And you've heard, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and yes, live in the moment. And we hear these very like kitschy things, but until we understand the quantum physics of it, or the quantum mechanics of it, or the real awareness behind it, it's just another tagline. Hashtag live in the moment. And you're like, what the fuck does that even mean? Right? Like, how many of you are like, I'm so sick of that hashtag? Well, I'm trying to explain to you in this moment that the minute you go into, where is it? I can't have it because of this. Oh, the sales were down this month. Excuses, excuses, excuses. We are no longer taking responsibility. We are now making excuses. And those two things are polar opposite. So let me say this again. And again, if there's any trigger in you and you hear this, that's okay. It just shows you your own consciousness around this. There's no right or wrong. Again, remember, right or wrong is where suffering happens. You have to take 100% responsibility for everything in your life. And I mean everything. This concept alone, I remember when I first really sat with it. And when I think about myself now, I think it is one of the most transformative concepts, of all the things I've ever taught you. It kind of distilled it into one. Because here's why. When I don't take responsibility, so what is the opposite? It's essentially blaming or projecting something onto somebody or something else. The environment, the government, the COVID, the war, the this, the that. It's going to always be something. If it's not now, it's going to be something else. So I project my power outside of myself. So I am then powerless in this moment. Did you hear what I just said? Okay, so I'm going to say it again for the cheap seats in the back so that it's clear as a cucumber. When I blame and project or make excuses, I literally just projected my power in this moment to create onto something else, and I am now deemed and rendered powerless in this moment, which is the only moment of creation. And if you didn't get anything I just said, that's okay. This is recorded, so you're going to listen to this 6 times over the weekend, and something will seep in, I promise you. Because it's the opposite of victim consciousness. It's the opposite of the way the world operates, is everybody else is to blame but me. And there, in that moment, you've then given the power over to somebody else. So for me to be responsible, it says the ability to respond. What does that mean? So let's say I'm triggered by something. I notice that, where am I having that experience? Everybody point to, in your own awareness, where do you have the experience when you're triggered? Hello? Where is it happening? Here. Not here, here. Okay? So I'm triggered in this moment, over here with me. Great. I'm 100% responsible for that trigger. Okay. How do I want to respond to this experience? That's responsibility. Does that make sense? Something is happening out here. I'm the one having the experience. Yes, not you, me. Okay. So I'm 100% responsible for this experience. Why? Because it's probably triggering a memory of the past, or something's happening. We've talked about the 4 F's in the workshop, like something's happening. I'm having an experience in my body, but because I know I'm 100% responsible, I get to decide how I want to respond in this moment, which is what? The only moment of creation, which creates what? The next moment. Why am I bringing this up? Well, it's kind of like a continuation of the awareness that we've been building. But the biggest piece is that I still hear in certain questions that are being asked, or Q&As or whatever, or some of the dialogue, there's still a lot of right or wrong, or kind of this person did this, and how do I respond to that? And it's normal, because this is how 99.999% of the universe operates, which is why this is, I think, why we are where we are as a civilization. Or that's a whole other conversation for another day. Because could you imagine if every human being on this planet was taught this concept in grade 1? I am 100% responsible for everything. Just sit with that. I just got chills. Sit with that. If I learned this in grade 1, how would my life be different? Like night and day. I wouldn't have had to unlearn the last 41 years of my existence to start. Like seriously, I'm responsible. My bank account, I'm responsible. My relationships, I'm responsible. My health, I'm responsible. What does this mean? I'm not blaming and shaming and projecting myself, because that's victim consciousness. I have the ability to respond to what? How I feel in this moment. Is this clear so far? Okay. Next piece. So, what happens when we don't take responsibility? Well, the thing I see the most that happens for humanity, not just myself, but everyone, like all of you guys and all the people really, is we make excuses. So we say, I really want to hit 20K a month this month, whatever. I'm just giving you an example. And I didn't because, and you literally do the laundry list of excuses. We kind of talked about that yesterday a little bit, about rationalization. Okay. So why do we do this? Well, we do this because we think we have to rationalize everything. Raise your hand if you're a rationalization machine. Hello, I'm Adele. I'm a rationalization machine. And the funny thing is like, nobody cares about your rationalization. You very much care about your rationalization, and everyone else is like, I got other things to think about. So we rationalize, but here's what I want you to understand. And because after today, I really want this awareness to sink in. I can't make excuses and have everything I want at the same time. In the quantum field, those two things do not exist at the same time and space. When I make an excuse, I am not accepting responsibility for something. Please write that down. When I'm making an excuse, I am not accepting responsibility. It's kind of like, you have to understand they're mutually exclusive. Like, everyone understand what mutually exclusive is? If you don't, go Google it. If someone else wants to put the definition of mutually exclusive in the chat, that'd be great. Mutually exclusive says when this exists, this cannot exist. Light and dark can't exist at the same time. Excuses and desire can't sit and responsibility can't exist at the same time. If I'm going to take responsibility for something, I also can't make excuses. What does that mean? I don't have what I want right now. Great. I am responsible. How do I want to respond in this moment? Not, I didn't do it because this and this happened. Does that make sense? Excuses are not accepting responsibility for something, but next level about excuses is this. Write this down, and I want this to be like bolded, highlighted. If you're anything like me, you put stars next to things that are really important when you make notes. This is a star moment. Excuses are rationalizations of the false belief of why you think you can't be, do, or have what you want. I'll say it again. Excuses are the rationalization of the false belief of why you think you can't be, do, or have what you want. That's it.